A few weeks ago, I made a mistake of tretinoin that left the creases around my ears and nose red, irritated, and burning for 3 days. And the annoying part is I could have prevented it entirely with something that costs about £3 Vaseline. Most people have a tub sitting around their bathroom cabinet gathering dust. They might use it on dry hands in winter or maybe chapped lips. But what most people don't realize is that this incredibly boring bog standard product has at least 7 genuinely useful applications for your skin. And a lot of what we're going to talk about is backed by some surprisingly robust science. If you want to get more out of your skincare routine without adding complexity or cost, this video will show you how. I'm Kirk, a skin enthusiast who helps men in their 30s look more rested and healthy without overcomplicating things. And today we're talking Vaseline. So let's reset. But before we get into the hacks, everything I'm covering today, including the full skin reset method and exactly which products work for tired-looking skin in your 30s, is in the free guide linked down below. I usually talk about individual tactics in these videos. The guide shows you how they all fit together into a simple system. It's free, it's structured, and it removes the trial and error. Right, Vaseline. 7 hacks. One of these is a hay fever trick that sounds ridiculous but genuinely works. Another one can save an expensive fragrance. Some of these you might have heard of, others will probably surprise you. But all of them are genuinely useful. Hack 1. Tretinoin. If you use tretinoin, this will save you days of irritation. If you're using tretinoin, retinoids, or any high-strength actives, you need to know about buffering. Tretinoin and other types of retinoids are exceptional at improving skin texture and tone over time, but it's also very good at migrating into areas you didn't intend to treat. Specifically, the corners of your eyes, the creases around your ears, nose, and the corners of your mouth. These areas have thinner skin, more movement, and natural folds where the product can pull and cause irritation. And that's exactly what happened to me. I was pretty confident that I applied my tretinoin carefully, avoiding the eye area and being precise around my nose. But during the night, a tiny amount migrated into the crease around my eye here. And by the morning, it was red, irritated, and I had a bit of a patch that was uncomfortable, which of course set my routine back a few days as I had to take some time out to recover, and I had what was actually a bit of a kind of nasty mark on my face that nobody really wants. The fix is stupidly simple. Before you apply your active, take a small amount of Vaseline and apply it to those sensitive areas. A thin layer is fine. The Vaseline acts as a physical barrier. It prevents the active ingredient from migrating into the skin folds where it can cause low-grade inflammation and peeling, or actually cause marks like what happened to me. I've started doing this every time I use tretinoin or active ingredients, and I've found that I haven't had the issue since. It's one of those small adjustments that makes a real difference to consistency. One small mistake can undo the weeks of progress. That's what the Skin Reset Guide helps you avoid. And if you've damaged your skin barrier by pushing actives too hard, or you're worried about doing that, I've got a full video on how to repair your skin barrier, which should be linked or popping up here, and is definitely linked down below in the description. Hack 2. If you suffer from allergies or hay fever, you're gonna love it. The hack is simple. Apply a thin layer of Vaseline at the entrance of your nostrils. Don't push it deep inside, just a light layer is enough. And you can also apply a tiny amount along your eyelashes if you're not bothered about how you look. What it does is create a physical trap for pollen before it enters your mucous membranes and triggers the itching, sneezing, and all of that kind of stuff. Now, personally, I found that following a proper cleansing routine has significantly reduced my hay fever and allergy symptoms. Cleansing twice a day, morning and evening, has made a much bigger difference than I expected. For me, adding Vaseline into the mix has been the cherry on top. If I'm, camping at a music festival, just out in the garden, or spending time outdoors by the beach in the summer, I tend to use the Vaseline method as extra protection. I've also found it's pretty good before bed. Cleanse your face to remove all the pollen, and then at the end of your routine, apply a small amount of Vaseline to your nostrils and lashes if you want to catch anything that's lingering in the air overnight, so long as you don't block your airwaves. Obviously, don't think of it as a replacement for antihistamines or whatever tablets or whatever it is you take. You still need them, but it's a useful tactical addition that costs virtually nothing and has an extremely low side effect profile when used appropriately. So you might want to just try it out and see if it works. Hack 3. If you cut or nick yourself shaving, this one prevents scabbing and speeds up healing. Robert Cheeseborough, the chemist who discovered and refined petroleum jelly, Vaseline, in the 1850s, was so confident in its healing properties that he used to tour New York demonstrating it. Apparently, he burned his own skin with acid or open flames and then applied some Vaseline to show how it healed without scarring. Now, that's some pretty extreme marketing tactics that I'm not going to try, but from what I've read, he wasn't wrong about the science. The man allegedly ate a spoonful of Vaseline every day and lived to 96, when the average lifespan was 63. So, there's that too. If you want to give that a go, obviously this isn't medical advice or whatever it is I'm supposed to say, but you can try it if you want. Let me know how you get on in the comments. Multiple studies have shown that keeping a wound moist with Vaseline allows skin cells to migrate and heal up to 50% faster than letting a scab form. This is called moist wound healing, and it's now standard medical practice. What's even more interesting is that for clean minor wounds, studies show petroleum performs comparably to antibiotic ointments like Neosporin. But unlike antibiotic ointments, Vaseline has virtually zero risk of causing allergic contact dermatitis. In patch testing on 88,000 people, Vaseline caused almost no allergic reactions. That's why it's used as the control in medical studies. If you nick yourself shaving, here's a simple protocol. Rinse, pat dry, apply a thin layer of Vaseline, and then leave it alone. Now with shaving irritation, I also like to use moisturizers high in panthenol, like the S Nature's Aqua Squalene Moisturizer or Purito's Mighty Bamboo Panthenol Cream. I find both of these to be great for calming irritation and speeding up the healing. It's the panthenol inside. But if you've got Vaseline on hand, it works exceptionally well and is great for cuts and nicks. If you've irritated your skin barrier, whether from shaving, actives, or anything else, that video I mentioned earlier, which is linked down below, covers the full repair protocol. And if you're finding this video helpful so far, consider subscribing. Most of what I share is about small evidence-based adjustments like this that compound over time. Hack number 4 really surprised me when I first tested it out. If you wear cologne or perfume, you've probably noticed that on some days it seems to disappear within a couple of hours. That's because fragrance oils evaporate quickly on dry skin because there's nothing for them to anchor to. The hack is to apply a small amount of Vaseline to your pulse points or wherever you apply your fragrance before spraying your fragrance on top. The Vaseline provides a base that slows down the evaporation of those fragrance oils. I tested this with a fragrance that I wear regularly, and the difference in longevity was noticeable. Instead of reapplying or needing to reapply halfway through the day, it lasted well into the evening when I was using the Vaseline. And for me, that's the real win, that a £3 tub of Vaseline can stretch out £120 fragrance. The science is simple. Petroleum slows evaporation. Just use a tiny amount, enough to give the fragrance something to cling to, not enough to look greasy. Hack 5. Slugging. Powerful, but easy to mess up if you do it wrong. Slugging, which of course is when you apply an occlusive layer, like Vaseline, across your face as the final step of your nighttime routine to seal everything in. It sounds odd, it looks odd, but the science behind it is solid. Your skin loses water constantly through a process called transepidermal water loss. And this process is typically worse at night. When your skin barrier is compromised, whether from actives, over cleansing, or just environmental stress, that water loss accelerates further. Petroleum is one of the most effective occlusives available. Studies show it can significantly reduce transepidermal water loss, often around 30 to 50% in real-world use. That's significant, especially if you're over 30 and your barrier isn't as resilient as it used to be. There's other things that help at night too. For example, silk pillows reduce friction and don't absorb as much moisture from your skin compared to rougher fabrics like cotton. But an occlusive, like Vaseline, is the simplest way to seal in moisture and give your barrier the best chance to repair overnight. The result is that you wake up with skin that looks more hydrated, plumper, and just generally healthier. Now, here's what you need to know about doing this properly. Rule 1. Only slug on clean skin. If your face isn't clean, you're trapping sweat, oil, and debris underneath. Rule 2. Don't do this on strong active nights. Not over tretinoin and not over glycolic acid. The occlusive can intensify them and increase irritation. Save slugging for recovery nights. Rule 3. It's not for everyone. If you're acne prone or have rosacea, test it first or skip it altogether. Done properly, slugging should make your skin look calmer and more hydrated by morning, not irritated. You should wake up looking like you've had 8 hours of good sleep, even if you haven't. Now I'm going to be honest with you. I don't slug my entire face with Vaseline very often. When I do slug, my personal preference is Medicube's Night Wrapping Collagen Mask. If you apply it to dry or slightly damp skin at the end of your evening skincare routine, it forms a light film overnight that you peel off in the morning. I found that my skin looks its best and most plump after using it, but it's significantly more expensive than Vaseline. I'm currently on the hunt for a cheaper alternative. If I'm treating a small irritated area, like the corners of my eye after tretinoin building up, Vaseline is exceptional. There's also CeraVe's Healing Ointment, which I think feels slightly nicer than Vaseline and comes in a tube, so you're not having to dip your fingers in a tub, but it costs about 4 or 5 times the amount as Vaseline. And I'm not convinced it's 4 or 5 times better. For most people, Vaseline does the job perfectly well. Apply a thin layer, you don't need much, press it in gently over your skin and let it sit overnight. You'll know if it's working because your skin will feel calmer, look more rested, and recover faster from irritation. Hack 6. Lips. Your lips have almost no natural barrier. The stratum corneum, the outermost protective layer of skin, is extremely thin on your lips, which is why they're so prone to dryness and cracking. Vaseline is one of the most effective occlusives that you can use in your lips because it's hyperallergenic and seals in moisture without causing irritation. If your lips are chronically dry, apply a hydrating layer first, something with glycerin or panthenol, and then seal it in with Vaseline. Now, regular Vaseline works fine. But if you want something specifically designed for lips, Vaseline Lip Therapy is one of the top 3 lip balms I've come across. Comes in a few different variants. You've got cocoa butter, aloe, obviously the original one, vanilla, and there's a few others. My favorite that I've come across so far is the cocoa one because I really just like the taste. I think the original is good, and I say I like that one as well. It's just neutral, but I don't like the aloe flavor. The tins are a bit annoying to open though. I've even tried coating them in Vaseline to see whether that makes it easier to open. But even then, they're still fiddly. The good news is that the original version also comes in a tube like this, which is more convenient, but I've only found that it comes in the neutral flavor in tube form, so no cocoa butter. Price-wise, Vaseline Lip Therapy is exceptional. It's about £1.50 to US$, depending on where you buy it. The other 2 lip balms in my top 3 are Homeoplastine and Bepanthen. Homeoplastine is a French pharmacy balm with a similar consistency to Vaseline. Interestingly, it was originally developed as a nipple cream, but it's now used for lips, minor burns, and irritation. At £13, 17 US$, some more expensive. Bepanthen is a baby nappy cream that also works brilliantly on lips. You can pick up a small tube for about £4, $6, so it's less expensive than the old Homeoplastine, and still much cheaper than most dedicated lip balms. But for sheer value, Vaseline Lip Therapy is hard to beat. Hack 7. Hair taming. If you've got flyaway hairs or unruly eyebrows, a tiny amount of Vaseline can smooth them down without leaving a crunchy or flaky residue like hairspray or gel. You're using a microscopic amount here, just enough to add a bit of control and natural shine. It lasts for hours and doesn't build up or look greasy if you're light-handed with the application. It's one of those small grooming touches that takes seconds and makes a noticeable difference if you want to look a bit more put together for whatever reason. If even one of these hacks was useful, the full skin reset method is linked below. These are individual tactics. The guide gives you the structure. It covers the exact products and routine that work for men in their 30s who want to look less tired or prematurely aged. And if you want to understand why men start looking tired even when they feel fine, watch my video here. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.